Okay, guys, welcome to this week's Fife Property Update. We're looking across the whole of the Fife Property market from the 6th of November to yesterday, the 12th of November. This is looking at every single property. It's coming to market with every single estate agent right throughout Fife for that period. This will give us a good idea about supply and demand and where we are right now in terms of where we're coming into what is traditionally seen as a quieter time of year. And traditionally, it tends to be a lot less properties coming in the market versus a lot less properties actually selling. So it'll be interesting to see the figures this week. And I'm actually going to look back as well to November at this time last year and look at these figures for the week just to demonstrate where we are in comparison to where we were the year before. Going to be talking about a couple of articles and, as usual, the Wealth Creation Show tomorrow, which we're going to talk about, which will actually be the Wealth Creation Show tomorrow, will be, if I can grab it, how to retire early. Yes, I'm going to tell everybody how to retire early. And I'll tell you about that towards the end of this program. We'll be over in about 15, 20 minutes. You want to ask questions, please feel free. This is the golden opportunity to ask questions on this when we're actually going through. So let's look at the numbers this week across the Fife Property market. We're also going to be talking about what's coming onto the market in terms of what we've got coming on, what's actually sold as well. So it gives you an idea of what prices are actually going for right now. So this is actually really interesting. From my point of view, it's really interesting. I don't know if anybody else's point of view it's really interesting, but hey ho, let's get on with it. Okay, so this time we have 142 properties coming onto the market, but we've only got 82 selling in the same week. That's literally an oversupply of 60 properties in terms of the market itself coming on and not actually sold. So there seems to be a huge influx coming into the Fife market. Now we look by region. This is quite important though. This is really a really good revealing statistic. If you look by region, Cooper seems to be fine. 5 coming on, 6 actually sold. So that's actually quite a good market and quite stable. East Neuk 3 versus 3, St Andrews 10 versus 5. No surprise in St Andrews, 50% actually selling of what's coming on because they're at the higher price point range as well. Leavenmouth 8 came on, 13 actually sold. Dunfermline, here's the central to West Fife properties. So this actually shows you, this is quite revealing. Dunfermline 55 came on, 31 actually sold. So it's a huge oversupply there. Glenrothes 26 versus 10, Kirkcaldy 35 versus 14. So you can see all that oversupply is really coming off from central to West Fife. From Leavenmouth, near enough central as well, to East Fife, there tends to be a stable, good market. Going quite well, as business as usual, but we'll see over the next couple of weeks how that's going to pan out and if that's going to stay like this all the time. Let's have a quick look at what it was like last year at this point in time. So 142 versus 82, so an oversupply in the market. Last year, it was 107 versus 114. Now, I looked at the either side of this, which is week 1 and week 3, and this is week 2 of November, and it actually demonstrated the same activity. It was actually undersupply, oversold. So huge demand in comparison. So we're now clearly, you can see that transition switched into the fact that we've now got a lot more properties that come on the market than we did before. Let's take a quick look, actually. And if I could, by the magic, just bear with me because I'm going to do this live to see if I can actually get this. I'm going to pop on a Zoopla and show you where Zoopla is right now in terms of the number of properties actually available for sale throughout Fife, because this is actually quite a startling and revealing statistic. So 6 or 7 months ago, we were sitting at 550 overall. Just now, I'm just going to type this in, Fife, and I'm going to say what's available. Available only, not what's actually sold. So we can see there straight away, 982 on. So if you work that out, 982 versus 550 in terms of the numbers, we'll do a quick calculation here. 952 versus, I could probably get off the top of my head, but I'm wanting to be exactly right against this. So we've got 982 minus 550. 432 divided by 550 is about a 78 to 80% more supply on the market, according to the Zoopla statistics. This is the one we use all the time, than it was 7 months ago. So what does this? Why do I mention that? Because we are now seeing this huge amount of properties come onto the market. So what it tells me is it will take a bit longer to sell a property. When you look at the numbers here, and I'll just calculate this for you, if you take 982 and divide that by 6,500, which is 6,500, which is roughly what's sold every year. That's 15 times 52. That's 15%. So 15% of 52 weeks, it takes on average 8 weeks to sell a property now. So before it was taking on average 3 to 4 weeks. Now it will be taking about 8 weeks, which is almost 2 months to sell a property. So if you're 3 weeks in, if you're 4 weeks in, if you're 5 weeks in to selling your property and you're thinking nothing's happening, why is this not sold yet? Remember, the amount of time it's taken to sell a property has actually gone out now. So just be patient. That's the key here. If you're not getting any activity at all, then you need to speak to your estate agent about that and actually say to them, why am I not getting any activity at all? I need, why would that be? And then they'll have a conversation with you if they've not had a conversation with you now about it, but it will take a lot longer. And then again, when your property goes on, you'll see as well that other properties are going on. So potentially in your price bracket, there might be more competitive properties coming on against yours, which makes yours look less attractive. And it was at that point in time, but because other people's properties have come on, it's maybe not now. So again, that's the overall picture you've got to see in terms of what it is, because people will actually say, well, I tell you what, I've got a 300, I've got a £400,000, I've got a £200,000 budget. What will I get for 200, 300, 400,000? What will I get for 100,000? They put that in the price brackets, and then you see what you're competing against every other property. That's literally what everybody does. That's what you do yourself, more than likely. You see what you're competing against. You see what you've got to buy. So as a buyer, put your buyer's hat on and think to yourself, if I was looking at my property and I was looking at these price bands, what would be competing against me? What other properties would other people, other buyers have the choice of? But as I say, it's taking a lot longer to sell a property because there's a huge influx of property coming onto the market. I suspect that might actually go up past 1,000, but that's no surprise as more people actually make decisions about moving, and more people think, well, I'll tell you what, I'll do it now rather than do it next year. So you're going to see a huge influx possibly coming on this year, but the beginning of next year, you'll probably not see that much in comparison potentially. For that very reason, everybody's making decisions now to do it in order to sell for next year. So they're actually just bringing their plans forward. More or less, more people are bringing their plans forward. And the reason for that is because if they move now, they can get a better fixed rate deal now. And we're going to talk about this in the midweek show on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. So we're going to talk about this. If they move now, they can get a better fixed rate now than they can if they move next year, if interest rates are due still to go up, as predicted by the Bank of England. And also the economy as well is due to take a couple of hits in terms of inflation, in terms of growth as well. So all these implications of create uncertainty in people's minds. So they potentially want to be certain about things come through as well. So they want to be certain about that and make sure that actually happens. Let's just jump back to my previous post, and we'll carry on here. Thought I'll just divert there and just show you something different for a change. So here we are. So let's talk about then. One of the shows actually we did this week was actually yesterday. It was the one about Rishi Sunak as PM. What will it mean for Fife house prices? Now that was actually a really good show, and we went in depth into detail about what that actually meant. And I often get asked it, how will it affect Fife house prices, and how many things that affect house prices, but when it comes down to it, it's simple supply and demand. In 2009, here's an actual really a revealing thing for you. It shows you about numbers, because we are talking about numbers, and it might go over 1,000, and people go, that's a lot of property in comparison, almost double what it was 6 or 7 months ago. But remember, in 2009, the number of properties that came onto the market in Fife jumped drastically. In March 2009, it was 1,887 were available for sale throughout Fife. And then in October the same year, it had actually risen to 2,846, where people actually started dumping the properties onto the market because the impending credit crunch had actually happened. Now, that's not what we are in just now. And the reason for that is, and let me just digress here for that reason. There's a couple of things that actually highlight in here, and I keep talking about all the time. In comparison to the other times of 1988 crash and also the 2009 crash, there's significantly more people actually don't have a mortgage. Actually, 56.25% of people are shielded from interest rate rises. So that will not affect them at all. A lot of people actually don't have that. Today, 17 out of 20 people and homeowners are on capital repayment mortgages, which means that they have more equity than ever. So negative equity in comparison to the credit crunches before will no longer be an issue. Where it's still at extremely low interest rates in comparison to other periods. In fact, 17 out of 20 homeowners are on long-term fixed rate mortgages right now with an average of 2.14%. Now, they will come out at some point in time, but this is going to talk about on Wednesday, and the fact that if you're going to come out in the next year or 6 months, maybe it is actually starting to work out. Maybe actually, would you consider coming out early, possibly paying an exit penalty, but actually getting a better fixed rate deal for the next 5 years from now at a lower rate, rather than actually wait till next year and have to pay a higher rate, and how that balances off. But I'm going to talk about how you calculate that on Wednesday's show at 1 o'clock. Home buyers have also been stress tested at between 6 and 7% mortgage rates since 2014, which will mean we'll not see significant number of houses being dumped onto the market. There's still over 5,000 mortgage products available as well, and starting from 2.95% at 60% loan to value. So the availability of credit is still there as before. And also 20% in actual 1 in 5 people actually rent their properties. And interest rate rises actually won't affect them. And the rent freeze in Scotland until March 2023 means that rent rises won't affect them either. Remember, the difference as well is UK unemployment is still at a record low of 3.5%, meaning more people are actually working and earning than ever before. So the economic conditions surrounding the house price crashes are now no longer there in comparison. Yes, inflation is extremely high. But I believe that subject to nothing seismic actually happening in the world, Fife property values will be broadly neutral and possibly might actually slow down and drift down in the next 24 months, which will equate to around about a 4 to 6% less in a couple of years' time in terms of the value of the property in comparison to today's prices. But literally that'll just take you back to summer 2021 in terms of prices. So there's nothing really to be concerned about. It's just a short-term oversupply of property coming into the market in terms of where we are right now. So that's the Rishi Sunak article. So you can click on that if you want, and you can listen to the podcast or watch the show or read the article itself. The article takes 3 minutes, but the podcast of the show gives a lot more insight into it from our expertise and our experience point of view. Let's talk about what's coming onto the market. We'll jump into that. Quickly, what's sold, and then we'll talk about what's coming onto the market. Okay, sold this week. Why did I tell you what's been sold this week? So you get a really good idea about what's actually prices are going for. So this was in Carden Den, Dundonald Park, Carden Den. Actually, this was sold in 3 weeks. It's a 3-bedroom semi-detached house, and this was on us offers over 140,000. So this is a typical. I've actually seen this style as well. Typically, it's local authority corner plot. This style is actually quite prevalent right through at Fife, especially the Scooney area of Leven, and also potentially up in the St Andrews area as well. I've seen that as well, and I think I've seen it over in Cooper as well. And so it was actually quite a common style, and actually a really popular style actually, because it had a bedroom on the downstairs and it had an open plan living room to dining room at the back and the kitchen off the back and the 2 bedrooms upstairs in the bathroom. So really good design of property. Quite popular. So if you've got a property like this in any area in Fife, these are really, really popular. Good family homes, good starter homes, good actually moving homes from flats into this type of style for a growing family as well. Potential sometimes this one would be out the side to extend, or even sometimes out the back. Some people have actually done as well. This one in Station Road in Windygates. 2-bedroom flats are still selling quite well, and this was on offers over 70,000. So this went away as well. And King David Street in St Monans, this is a 3-bedroom ground floor apartment, very popular, these styles as well. New owner was delighted with a new home in the new village, and it was listed at offers over 125,000. So that gives you a good insight into what properties are going for in each of these areas. Watch out for coming soon. Sandy Craig Road in Pitt and Weem, we've got coming on. That'll be a 2-bedroom detached bungalow, so watch out for that one. St Andrews Road in Largo Ward, I'll be doing my pre-portal for that tomorrow afternoon. That's a 3-bedroom detached bungalow. Wingfield and Crail, 1-bedroom ground floor apartment is coming on as well. Miller Terrace, yep, Miller Terrace in St Monans, a 3-bedroom terrace house will be coming on. I'll be doing a pre-portal this week for that one. And Methilbrae and Methil, this is a 2-bedroom semi-detached cottage, will be coming on as well. If any of these properties, if you like the sound of these and these streets and that style of property, then message us direct on this post and tell us which one you're interested in, because I tell you what, you need to get in line with some of these because they will be extremely popular. And if you're not fast, you're last. Even though there's an oversupply in the market, certain types of properties, if it's what you're looking for, it's your dream home. That's it in the reality. So you've got all these properties on the market, you've got a lot to choose from, but I tell you what, you can only choose one. And if somebody else is wanting that property as well, then if you're not fast, you're last. Let's just quickly cover one of the other shows I did yesterday, Letting Up. Could rising inflation spell good news for landlords? Actually, I did that with Richard yesterday, and we talked about certain subjects. Does inflation affect our daily life? How does inflation affect our daily lives? How does inflation affect mortgages and debt? Inflation is the best thing for mortgages and debt because it reduces the value of the debt. What do I mean by that? Watch this show. Definitely listen to the podcast. It reduces debt inflation because what happens is, just like your money in the bank, the value of the debt actually goes down with inflation, because if it's, for example, 100,000 at the start of the year, inflation's 10%, really that 100,000 debt would end up buying 90,000 by the end of the year in debt. So effectively, if you've got, there's differences in debt, by the way. There's not good debt, which is credit cards and everything. And then there's also good debt, which is used to fund companies and actually make money on that debt. So that's debt used for a purpose. And that's the type that we're talking about, which actually, it's actually debt destruction in terms of inflation. That's what it does to. So we talked about that in that show. And how does inflation affect property prices and rents as well? How does inflation affect savings and investments? How does inflation affect landlords' costs as well? So that's a really good show if that's the sort of thing you want to listen to. Podcast is on there. The show's on there for an hour. I did it yesterday with Richard. Really good insight into investors. If you're just starting it for the first time, I recommend you actually listen to that and watch that. Okay, let me talk about next. We're talking about what's actually concluded. Now, when I talk about what's concluded, before I cover the wealth creation show about how to retire early, that's going to be a good one, eh? I'm really looking forward to that, because I'll give you a huge insight into how I did it as well. So it's based on my personal experience about 17 years ago when I retired at 38. Okay, so what's over the line? Well, Scooney Hill Road in St Andrews, a 2-bedroom end terraced house, and it's sold in 3 weeks for 11% over the home report value at £272,000. Now, this actually got 22,000 more than the home report value at that time, and that was 11% more. So that's the kind of prices they're going for a 2-bedroom end terrace house in the Scooney Hill Road area in St Andrews. Admittedly, it was beautiful inside, and somebody's actually got a real bargain with that type of property, because I'll tell you, I sold a 2-bedroom lower flat round the corner from that at 230,000 a couple of years ago. So when you think about the amount of uplift, and then the fact that that's a completely beautiful house inside, open plan, lounge, kitchen, dining room downstairs, and it's an end terraced house. It's good value for money in comparison. Coldstream Crescent over the line as well, 2-bedroom linked detached bungalow, that sold in 3 weeks for 4% over the home report value. That went for another £9,000 over the home report value. So it shows you what the prices are going for in the Leedmouth area. Rose Street and Methil, again, that went for, this is one of the first ones that actually just went for just under the home report value. So we're starting to see properties actually getting just under the home report value. Could that be a surprise? Not really, because when you think about the logic of it, all the prices and increases that happened before over the successive years are now built into the new home report values. When they're down, they're done. So if the market isn't running out of steam, it's just equalizing where it should be in the first place. So the uplift has actually just come to a point where there's an equilibrium happening and a steadying off of the market. So there's no surprise actually that's actually happened. But that actually went for 97,500. So a 2-bedroom and terraced house in Rose Street, Methil, went for 97,500. Now, several years ago, I've got a funny feeling that we were going for about 75,000. So that huge uplift in these years has come to an equilibrium where it actually stabilised the market and it's actually levelled off now. Elm Grove in St Monans, 2-bedroom semi-detached bungalow, sold in 2 weeks, 17% over the home report value. Different regions demand different prices. This was 25,000 more than the home report value this went for. 2 other people missed out on this type of property, Elm Grove and St Monans, 2-bedroom semi-detached bungalow, had potential to extend upstairs as well. So if you've got this type of property in the St Monans East Neuk area, then by all means, feel free to contact us. We'd love to hear from you and give you an appraisal of your property and where you are right now. This is not about when we come out to see you, and when I come out to see you in particular, I'm not there to sell your house at that point in time. I'm there to look at your circumstances, give you a valuation of your house, give you the facts, and then have a discussion with you about where you are right now and what you want to achieve. If I feel at the end of the conversation, and just personally for me, if I feel that why would you do this or why would you want to sell if you are where you are right now and point out all the benefits of where you are and the fact that you might not get that way anywhere else, then I will tell you that. And all our estate agents will tell you that. If it's so it can give you the information you need to make the right decision for you and not look back and think, I wish I hadn't. So we're not there at that point in time to sell your house. We're there to give you the best advice. If it leads to selling your house and you make that decision for yourself based on the facts, then fantastic. And we'd love to be these people that actually do that for you. It'd be a real privilege, actually. Okay, so let's talk finally about tomorrow. 12:30, Richard and I are going to be talking about this, how to retire early. So what can I tell you about this show about how to retire early? Let's see if I can give my wee intro here. Okay, if I asked you what the age of retirement in the UK was, most of you will actually say 65 and onwards, or 67, or it's going to be 70 for me, or whatever it is. But why is that? Well, it's because retirement, when you think about it, has nothing to do with age. It's everything to do with money. We're all conditioned to think at retirement, because the government works on that principle. Retirement is all about, I'm going to work till I'm 65, I'm going to work till I'm 70, and then I'm going to have enough to retire. Well, the average lifespan is up to 82-year-old. So you're going to work till 65, and then you're going to finally enjoy the rest of your days, working for the next, well, free, so to speak, to do what you want to do for the next 15 or 20 years. Why would you not retire now then? It's everything to do with money. If you had all the money in the world, would you still be doing what you're doing right now? I would. I love what I'm doing. But would you? 9% of the people, by the way, love what they do. 91% of the people don't like what they do. I'm lucky enough to be the 9%. So retirement is not about sitting on your porch day after day, watching the world go by or watching your dog die. That's not what retirement's all about. It's meaning to be able to do what you want to do when you want to do it and having the financial means to do it. So how can you retire early? Well, you don't need to go back to school to do this, because I'm about to tell you tomorrow at 12:30 how to do this in a step-by-step approach. So tune in at 12:30 live. You can ask all the questions you want. More than happy to answer any questions, but it's based on my path and what I did in order to do that, and what I collectively know right now, how I could have done that quicker. So literally, if you could use the analogy that I had a dirt track, and I had a reasonably priced car to drive in order to get my journey. And this road went meandering back and forward, side to side, all the way through. And that was my journey, how I did everything from start to finish. What I've done is I've formulated all this process to retirement, and I've basically put a tarmac highway in place, and it's a straight highway. I've provided a Ferrari or a Lamborghini for speed. No bought one, by the way, but for speed. And I can actually get, if I was to do this all over again, I would get there quicker than the 8 years it took me to do that. So I tell people how to do this for free. That's it. Why am I doing that? Well, I'm leaving a legacy and I'm leaving information for my children so they can watch this as well. And it just so happens we're recording it at the same time. So I thought, well, why not let everybody see this as well? Not everybody will do this. Not everybody will believe what I'm about to tell them tomorrow, but that's the way it is. If you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can't. It's as simple as that. A lot of people don't believe in themselves enough to think they could actually do it. But anybody could actually retire early and build wealth to do that. And I will tell you about that tomorrow at 12:30 on the Wealth Creation Show with Richard Cook. Tune in on my public profile channel, my personal profile channel, our YouTube channel, and we also stream it. We also share it onto our office pages, and we also show it on the private property investors group for Fife Properties. We have a private investors group, and if you want to join that, the details I think are on here, or they'll be on the Wealth Creation Show tomorrow as well. Everything else after that, I'll just leave in here. We have our instant valuation tool in here again. If you want to know the price of your property and the rough valuation of your property without actually even speaking to anyone, then put your information in the instant valuation tool. It gives you top, middle, and bottom. If you want to know the rental value for a property you're thinking of renting, or the property you've got just now that you're renting, and you want to know what the market values are, put your details into that instant valuation tool, and it will give you a top, middle, and bottom valuation as well. Just to give you a quick explanation about what these are, the top is pristine condition property. You don't need to do anything to it. New bathroom, new kitchen, decorated, carpeted all throughout. The middle is you probably move into the property and you'll change the bathroom and the kitchen as you go because it's fine just now. It's not the brand newest, but it's modern enough to tolerate it. The bottom valuation in the instant valuation tool is generally you've probably got to do a wee bit of refurbishment either before you move in or as soon as you move in. It's new kitchen, new carpets, new bathroom, and decoration. That's the kind of thing. So that's the 3 different valuation levels. So have fun with that. It's at your your use. You don't need to contact us to get that. You just click on the link and put your details in and you'll get the instant valuation of your property. Anyway, that's it, guys. I've got a couple of questions coming in. I'll answer them because they're all about retirement tomorrow. So I'll answer them on the Wealth Creation Show. So if you tune in, if you've put your questions in there in the comments, if you tune in tomorrow on the Wealth Creation Show at 12:30, Richard and I will discuss that and we'll answer these questions as well. Until next time, guys, I'm Jim Parker for Fife Properties TV.